Michael Popok, Legal AF. You know what MAGA does when they can't find fraud in the election? And they're trying to make the argument that there was outcome determinative fraud that gave the election to Joe Biden, part of the big lie or the big fix or whatever you like to call it. You just make up the evidence. If you can't find fraud, just say there's fraud. Put it in your report and have that publicized. That's almost as good, if not good enough. And that's what we now have. Prime example, Stefanie Lambert. Stefanie Lambert, a Michigan-based lawyer, but her nefarious activities ranged far and wide from her home territory. She was an influence, a negative influence in Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, leading the cause to try to find fraud in the election. She did it on her own behalf and on behalf of the Republican Party, the Trump campaign, and the like. She's been indicted in Michigan, but now what we have coming to light is her close relationship and her attempts to influence and pressure Doug Logan, the founder of Cyber Ninjas, the company out of Florida that had never done an election audit before, who was hired through Lambert by the Arizona Republicans back in 2020 to do a fraudit, what we called a fraud audit. By the way, just to cut to the chase, they found no outcome determinative fraud that would have given the election to Joe Biden instead of to Donald Trump. None whatsoever. But of course, Stefanie Lambert doesn't like that. If she's commissioning and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars of a report, and she's basically promised what the outcome would be, she needs the outcome to say there was fraud in the election. So text messages have now just been revealed. Just now, 2.5 years later, that show when you take away the attempt, the futile attempt to put black electronic tape over the texts. Now that we have apps that can actually take that tape off, we know what they said, and what they said is a Lambert telling Logan, you've got to find fraud in Maricopa County. There's got to be fraud. Say that there was fraud in the election in Maricopa County. And Logan pushing back and saying, I can't do that because it's not true. And Lambert writing back, you're killing me. You need to do this. Why? Because she's raised hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to put in Doug Logan's pocket from various financiers, such as Patrick Byrne, the head of Overstock.com, close friend of Donald Trump, who actually was in the White House and in the Oval Office promoting the overthrow of our Constitution and the seizing of voting machines. And then there's this very shady character named Eric Specken. Eric Specken, who heads an entity that he's named Specken Forensics. And Specken Forensics is a crackpot snake oil salesman type forensic company that's been debunked in, wherever it goes. But this is the company that Lambert frequently tried to use in lawsuits that she filed to claim fraud in the election when she couldn't get Doug Logan and Cyber Ninjas to follow the script that she had written to find fraud in the election. She'd bring in Eric Specken. Eric Specken, he'll find fraud. In fact, she tried to get Logan to hire Specken in the waning days of when he had to deliver his report to the Arizona Congress people, Arizona State House Republicans. And Logan said, I'm doing the final report here. I can't bring in Specken. And then there's also emails and texts where Specken and Logan had a conversation by text exchange, and Specken had nothing new to offer. Even he, the fraud finder, the fraud hunter, had no fraud to report, at least in Arizona, to Doug Logan. But this is what happens when you have a ridiculous hypothesis that is wrong. What is right is what the head of our cybersecurity for the U.S. government said about the election, that it was the most fraud-free election and secure election from an integrity standpoint in the history of the United States. That's Chris Krebs. And what did Donald Trump say when he heard that? Did he pat the guy on the back, the guy that was the head of his cybersecurity? No, he fired him because he's not following the script. Next, okay? But the script is phony. It's false. It's running on a fake and false hypothesis. And when other people, even Doug Logan at Cyber Ninjas, who was getting paid basically dependent upon him finding fraud, said, I can't go that far. There's no fraud in Arizona. So Hampton says, you're killing me. You got to find it. It's gotten so bad for Stefanie Lambert that when she actually accused in a lawsuit a company called XR Vision. This is like a mini Dominion voting systems against Fox News in that defamation case. She accused XR Vision of New York of allowing their machines to be used for voter fraud and lied in pleadings filed in court on that. XR Vision sued her for defamation and damages. And who is her expert? She tried to bring in, the one she's got on retainer, the one who'll say anything, Eric Sprechen. I'm not even sure that sounds like a made-up name. Doesn't that sound like a name that came out of a Scrabble bag? Is there a real person name? If we run that backwards, does that name say something else? I don't know. This is the craziness. And all these people monkeying around with our democracy and with the gears of our democracy and throwing monkey wrenches into it, have got to be brought to task. And maybe not just by Michigan. Phony Willis, take a look at these text messages that have now been revealed. Jack Smith, take a look. These are bad, bad people. She's so bad that she was caught dissembling voting machines themselves in her hotel room in Detroit. Like she took a voting machine and started tearing it apart. I don't know, looking for fraud somewhere in there, like some sort of demented Inspector Gadget. This is the problem. And this is why people have been so upset that the states didn't jump on top of this and kind of waited for the Jan 6 committee and waited for Jack Smith to do his job. But they have a job to do. The Secretary of States of each state, the battleground states especially, have a job to do here. The attorney generals of each state have a job to do, or the county prosecutors or city prosecutors have a job to do. It can't all be on the feds. They've got bigger fish to fry. But other people have to be held accountable. The fake electors in every state, they should be prosecuted. The ringleaders, like this particular person, this lawyer, Stefanie Lambert, prosecuted, which she is in Michigan. And now this new evidence has come out, should be the prosecutors in Georgia and in the other battleground states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, should look closer now at Stefanie Lambert based on the revelation of this new text messages. We'll continue to bring this kind of sunlight to this problem of allowing people in our society to walk the streets free when they had a hand in trying to overthrow our democracy, just like the Jan 6 insurrectionists, just like all the people in the close company of Donald Trump, and these people as well. We'll continue to follow it on the MeidasTouch network, only here on YouTube. I do this about every day, if not every half an hour, on hot takes just like this one. We pull it all together in a twice weekly show we call Legal AF. I co-founded it and co-anchor it on Wednesdays and on Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then everywhere you can get your audio podcasts. Give me a thumbs up if you like this particular story or stories like this one, analysis like this one. We don't blow smoke or sunshine here. We're here to tell you the facts based on our analysis, being, in my case, 32 years a trial lawyer nationally in courthouses and courtrooms, just like the ones that I report on. Until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok, Legal AF.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.